Good evening. It is Thursday, apparently. I spent all day thinking it was Wednesday. So, that's how my day's gone. I hope your day was slightly better than mine. I've been trying to work out a little this evening how I'm going to stream a particular game I'm going to play. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Why am I worrying about it now? Because I like to worry in advance. In short, there's a stress test for a game that I very much support called Monsters and Memories. But the problem I have with this streaming setup is that currently I have an application that kindly reads your chat to me over earphones, which is great, but I don't hear the music you do. In fact, I don't hear any sounds made by OBS itself. Now, if I capture the game sounds, I'm not going to hear them. And there doesn't seem to be a way of sending it to two sound output devices, which seems slightly frustrating. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle that. Because obviously if I've got a full stream game, I still really want it reading any chat messages to me. Because that will be very useful. Because I don't have a second monitor to put stuff on like a lot of streamers do. And even if I had a second monitor, well, I kind of have a second monitor. I have a thing that you can plug in, but it doesn't work very well, and it is designed for laptops use, really. So from that point of view, I haven't really got a second monitor I could put, say, chat or whatever on, so then I don't need it to read things to me. So how am I going to hear the gameplay? Because I don't want to do it by listening to my own stream, because that will freak my brain cells out hearing me echo. Because obviously every time I speak, about 3 seconds later I'd hear myself speak again. So my brain would overload into madness with that. And so from that point of view, not entirely sure. I was hoping there was a thing I could do which allows me to capture this and send it. No, you can't direct the sound. This is what I'm finding, is that you cannot say, send this sound to this device. Well, you can, but only at Windows level, not at an OBS level. So, I can't say, take a copy of the game sound and send it to my earphones. Because Windows can only send it to one place too. So, yeah, thanks for that, world. Anyway, let's get on with today's fun. So, as we left off 2 days ago, so I apologise for not streaming yesterday. I was so tired. When you've done far too much and even, sort of breathing hurts, holding your eyes open is impossible. That's kind of where I was. And so I don't know whether I was fighting a bit of a germ, and as a result, I was just really, really tired. But certainly something was going on because, frankly, I have not done anything that interesting. Therefore, I should not be that tired. But I was. I am feeling, however, better today. Well, I couldn't have felt much worse, to be honest. So, let's see what we can manage today. Oh, on the lace front, remember I got some videos. And I was a little bit disappointed with the starting and finish video, because I really had hoped that it would hold a bit of information for me that would, maybe offer some better ideas for, other than the experiment we did and all of those kind of aspects. Well, I have now a considerable collection. Hang on, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, 9. Oh, no, hang on. 10, 11. Or is that 12? No, 10, 11. Right. That's right, my brain just wanted to check on something, because I saw something on my computer that I wasn't expecting to be in. No, it's good. Right. So I've got 11 of these stupid things now. They're all from a company called Hansel, who are... Let me do this and that so that I can see a little bit more of them. There you go. Now, these are clearly older recordings, so the frame rate and so forth, well, not the frame rate, but the resolution of them is slightly pitiful, actually. Although it does say 2008, I'm sure that's when they've been rebadged onto DVD rather than when they were originally recorded. Because to be honest, it looks... It has that kind of 1980s, maybe early 90s kind of feel. And the woman doing it, very nice lady, I'm sure. She kind of looks old enough to have invented lace. I mean that as a joke. I mean, she's clearly, you know, she's not 20, right? And we don't expect her to be 20. Let's be fair. But I watched a video today about Bucks Points lace. Now, the reason I paused then is because I've got video on Bedfordshire lace, which basically looks exactly the same. So I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. They don't tell you what the differences are. They don't tell you anything about it. In fact, that would be the first criticism I have. So introducing, you know, lace of type, they don't tell you anything about it. It is, here is a pattern, here is how to make it. Well, for example, you may have seen that this grid is on a 45-degree angle. So everything is 90 degrees, 45 degrees, it's fine. Some of them do 60 degrees. Some, I think, even do 56 degrees. So when they show I mean, she did start the Bucks Point lace with, if you've done torsion, which is what this is, you'll be used to covering your pins. You don't do that here. Okay. But why is your grid... sorry, I want to turn it just a little bit more because I am being a bit annoying like that. You know, what is your grid? Where, you know, why is it the way that it is? You know, are you going to explain this to us? And the answer was no. So I've had a bit of a watch of that, and frankly, it looked like she struggled. The bobbins were all tangling, but what really super annoyed me, now, as you know, I do not claim in any shape or form to be an expert at any of this. But when she says, in between doing everything, you put 3 twists. This is obviously a Bucks Point thing. Okay, 3 twists. So, she gets to the end. And like I'm doing here, so she does a stitch very similar to this, but she would now do 2 more twists, right? Except, I don't know, 2/3 of the time, no, she doesn't. And you're kind of going, so you said you had to do 3 twists. Well, you did 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there. You know, we're learning from you. Now, are we to take from this that you can get away and it doesn't really matter? Or are we learning from you that actually you're not that confident at what you're doing? Because, I mean, obviously we all make mistakes, right? And one of the times she did, oh, I didn't do enough twists then. Right, that's a good thing. You noticed that. That's good. This didn't feel right either. It was. But it just seemed concerning that you've recorded a video and that, let's say, for sake of the argument, like I'm doing with these, I'm finishing the stitch. Let's say I did a twist extra, or I forgot a bit, or insert whatever, right? Well, you could always undo it and go back and record that bit. You can have a bit of a break and in the video. It doesn't have to be continuous, right? So to have paid, frankly, quite a lot of money for a video of watching someone make mistake, I felt slightly cheated, because these videos are not that long. She says, touching my box again. Come on, box, just play the game. Just sit on my work laptop and stop sliding off. So, for example, introductory Bucks Point lace, where you make two things. One is a strip of ground stitch, so much like this area here. The Bucks lace one is basically identical, but you don't cover your pin, and it says it's got 5 patterns. Well, they only talk about 2. Oh, that's not true. Right at the very, very end, there's a couple of, oh, you can do this one and you can do this one. It doesn't kind of really cover it, but you know, it says here, the first pattern introduces buck point, foot side, ground, head, and head side with picots. I hate picots. The 3 patterns that follow are for circular edging, a small motif, and a bookmark. The bookmark is basically exactly the same, which is kind of weird, because she shows adding a gimp thread, and she shows like little honeycombs on one side, which is the thinging around. The bookmark is basically identical, but now in a straight line, but doing it around is no different to doing it straight, by the way. What's the last one? Small motif. Oh yeah, the small motif's in the bookmark, so that's a bit of a stretch. And it says, you know, in these further techniques using gimp, honeycomb rings, mayflowers, 4-pin rings are explained. To finish, there is a final pattern with small motifs using the techniques already described. It says it runs for 4 hours. Didn't take 4 hours to watch it. Yeah. It was... I feel... I'm not saying it's not 4 hours, but... You know, I've converted it to... digital, so that I don't have to get up and watch the... This doesn't feel right. Why does this not feel right? It is right. Just go with it, woman. It just feels lacking. There is one video that they're left in their entire collection that I do not own, and sadly, I don't think I ever will, because I've already spent a lot of money obtaining those videos legally, you know. But obtaining those videos, I feel they are very overpriced for what they are. I mean, think of what I'm doing here. There's a video on saying where you've got the, she says looking for them and not seeing them. They're like, for example, these two, the workers for the cloth stitch. Swap them out for a coloured one. That's kind of the whole of one video. Basically swapping them out for a coloured one. Wrong pair. And, well, that's not right either, you know? And that cost me £42. That's like 3 hours work for a video that is less than that, I imagine. Hang on. says 3 hours 30 minutes. It just feels. I mean, £42 is. If that was a book, it would. The content of a book, you'd begrudge much more than £6 for buying it. Is what I'm trying to say. So as a video, yes, she's they've done a thing and they've and all of that, but I seem to be cocking this up a lot. This doesn't feel right. Head in there to check. No, I have got all 4 pins. I just don't need a pin on this one. I just need to do the thing. Just because I'm talking and thinking about other things, I guess. So it just seems not particularly good value for money, but one of the ones that I really would like to see, but would probably be highly disappointed with, is I've only seen available in America, and bear in mind the first lot came from America and took nearly 6 weeks to get here. But the one I wanted was not available at the time. It's £75 plus, I think it's £30 postage, so it's £100 for a video of about 3 and a bit hours, if that. And it is a follow-on from one I already have, but yeah, it is a little hard to feel justified for purchasing that. I mean, should I win the Euro Millions? Damn it, hell yes. But as I don't play, not overly likely. If 1 billion of you each sent me, a ton of bits and subscriptions, maybe I'd buy it with that, because we could go through the output together. I probably wouldn't be able to show the output, but I could work through the patterns provided, and we could do that. But again, it's just, it's kind of, if you had £100, there are plenty of better things to be spending on. And right now, considering it's winter it's supposedly autumn, but we've kind of, today was supposed to be like -1 all day here, so it's kind of wintry now. Heating my house and not freezing are far more important than flicking a few bobbins about. Now, I will say I am slightly enthused by the Bucks Point lace one. If only I could draw. Why do I say that? Well, you see, with the Bucks Point lace one, a bit like this, you can take a grid of ground, and because of the angles on it, it lends itself much more to curves, whereas this lends itself to geometric, which is why it and I get along. And as a result, it is much better for making pictures, for want of a better word. So there is a bit of me that would like to design something and make it. But as I can't draw, it would inevitably look like cat bath, because, the drawing underneath it would look like cat bath. So therefore it would not stand to be overly successful. But at the same time, it would be interesting. It would be interesting to try. And, it would be nice to try something a little bit more picture. I mean, for example, as I've said, I'm not really one for flowers in my home, or patterns, really, for that matter. But, a bit of geometric, I can cope with a bit of geometric. But I really don't want flowers on my curtains and sofa and cushions and clothes. And so, and of course, 99% of lace seems to evolve around flowers. So, from that point of view, yeah, let's not. But they did do one showing a butterfly. Now, admittedly, there were a couple of small kind of flowery bits at the bottom for the, kind of like that the butterfly was flying away from. But it was, there was a butterfly. We could do the butterfly bit and, like, not do the flowery bit, right? Because that's always an option. Replace the flowery bit with a couple more butterflies would be my... having a couple of butterflies maybe on your neck, I could kind of do that. But, once again, much like this, the core issue of the day... I mean, she was struggling, even with her tiny bookmark. She had small hands. It was really obvious she had small hands, because she used muslin bobbins, and her hands looked small. Because if you think, if you've got my hands, I can't see my Midlands bobbin, it's around here somewhere. There it is. I think that's it. Yeah, there it is. If you look at my hand compared to that Midlands bobbin, my hand looks big. Her hands kind of fitted with the Midlands bobbin. She had tiny, delicate little hands, right? And kudos to her, because, frankly, I do think that if you had slightly daintier little hands, some of this would be a little easier. Those Honiton bobbins that I've got, she says to remind you what the Honiton bobbins look like. That's these little toothpick style ones. I call them toothpicks because, look at the size of it. It really is almost a toothpick. Again, if you had tiny hands, and, that would be far more practical. But when they when you're scared that if you pick it up, you're going to snap it, well, that's not so practical. I am tempted to try doing this with Honiton bobbins again, because you do really get so much more on the pillow without losing your marbles. The problem is that, like I said before, is I ended up having to trap them together with elastic bands, because I didn't have these, so I don't know how well that would work. And well, they tangled like arse, because the ends are so small that when a couple of bobbins mix, it's really difficult to extract out who's who, because, well, they're so close together. I really do kind of like my chunkier bobbins. I was also looking, actually, because Bucks Point, if you actually look on a lot of websites, Bucks Point did have bigger bobbins. In fact, there was this whole website dedicated to bobbins that I was looking at earlier, when it actually said that there was some other bobbin I'd never heard of. Downton, that's it. I was thinking of Downton Abbey, that's what brought that up. So, because that's what it reminded me of. There was a Downton bobbin, and they literally were these. And I was kind of like... Now, obviously, these are actually... I think these are Mallorcan. But this is exactly what a Downton British bobbin used to look like. So, I'm not necessarily wrong using them. I was looking... Because I was trying to find out more about what the differences were between some of them. Because, obviously... as I've mentioned, there's Honiton, which is Devon. There's East Midland bobbins, but there don't seem to be any lace specific that was East Midlands variety, except a lot of British people use East Midland bobbins. They're generally referred to as Midlands bobbins because we're all lazy. Like everything, you may have noticed that, if you... Buckinghamshire. Well, if you actually... Buckinghamshire is probably the nearest one that actually pronounce an awful lot of the letters in the word. Because if you ever look at things like Leicestershire, well, as my beautiful American friends would pronounce it by default, Leicestershire. We don't say that. Leicestershire. We've dropped half those letters. Buckinghamshire, it's sh at the end. We don't bother with shire, it's sh, right? But an awful lot of places like that, the counties in the UK, the I will agree with the Americans where, you know, we added U's to an awful lot of letters, probably just to get more points in Scrabble or something. We certainly seem to have done that with some of the county names because, well, as I say, you know, it's like 20 characters long and you only use 6 of them. It's it's kind of like, yeah, sorry about that. We didn't give you much of a head start because, well, we don't pronounce half of that. In fact, we drop nearly all the vowels from county names, bar maybe the first couple. Hampshire, that's also one that's pretty close. Obviously, it's Hampshire in spelling, but Hampshire, at least we do the hamp, right? We are terrible. We are terrible for that. So, but we have Honiton from Devon. We have Bucks, Bucks Point, which is Buckinghamshire. Lace, and obviously that's a thing, right? Then we've got Bedfordshire lace, which really they just wanted to be anti-Buckinghamshire, didn't they? Because, as I said, frankly, looks the same stuff. So, not that one. So, you're not going to see these too well because they're shiny DVD covers. But if you look at the pictures in this, and I zoom in a bit so you can see, if I zoom right in. If you look how they're made, it's got, you know, the grids along here, and then it's got like GIMP threads to highlight little holy bits and fucking picos all the way around the edge of these bookmarks and all the rest of it. Right? So if I put that back in the bag so I don't get it confused, and I look for... This is colour work with Bedfordshire stuff. Where's the other one? Hang on. It's all sliding away. There it is. There's the other one. Because, of course, they're all in slimy little bags. Now, these do tend to be more tallies, but if you actually look at how some of them are worked, there's the crap load of picos. Oh, you can't see that. Crap load of picos and some tallies, which are the red bits. And at the top here, there's a bit more of a... Well, at least it's not got tallies in it. Looks like it's got beads in it instead. But the proof of the matter is that it's kind of the same shit, really. Because you do tallies in the others too. I'm trying to avoid adding more bobbins to the collection, and I don't know which ones to do next. I know I'm going to add these ones to the right. I'll do the bottom ones, I think. So it is kind of a bit of a mystery as to what encouraged the differences. And like everything, you know, just because you're different, why did you get a different name? What made you... Hang on, that doesn't fill enough. Hang on. Back thing. Cross, twist, cross, twist. There we go. Squidge. Move you round just a little bit more. There we go. So I don't know. I asked ChatGPT and it just went, well, they're different varieties of lace from England. Yeah, I knew that bit. I said, what makes them different between each other? Well, that's where they came from. Yeah, no, but you know, why? I have also got books on Russian, Flanders, one I can't pronounce, Chantilly, And obviously the colour in this tally thing that I suck at tallies, as we know. So that's clearly not, you know, an ideal video for me, but I thought it'd be worth a watch for interest. Because one of the things you can do is, if you're not so essentially being a purist, you can, of course, slightly mix and match to an extent. You can borrow techniques from one for another if you feel it would be helpful. Oh, add time. There we go. Here. Do this one. So yes, I was hoping to learn a little history out of that. You know, I was hoping that the video would show a little bit more. Well, it's like if you go into any class, the first thing you do is you expect to hear a bit of theory, right? And yes, she did show a few charts and kind of go, you know, we'll be doing this, and, you know, explaining that, you know, you twiddle this twice here, and okay, but I can kind of see that it shows it on the chart. So from that point of view, it was reciting information you already had been given, if you see what I mean. And there was nothing telling you about why it exists or how there became variations. Did Fancy Lord Farquhar or whatever demand that he thought that was too plain and that he wanted something more this. What helped instigate the creation of the different regions of lace? Because obviously, for example, part of the reason Chantilly lace is such a well-known thing is that they were, and potentially still are, the absolute masters of lace making, and they did things with lace that no one else ever did, and mastered things that no one else ever did, and people wanted stuff like that, but when told we just can't work out how they do it, they made their own variants and differences so that they could produce elaborate and fancy things, but in a way that they could work with, because they didn't know how to do what they did. It's like, bringing home a, Chanel dress and looking at how it's made and then making something. You may not make, something that would pass off as a Chanel dress, but it might pass off as a fancy dress at least, and it would be similar in style so that people would go, is that Chanel? And you'd kind of go, no. And they'd go, no, it's not quite right. And they wouldn't be able to put their finger on it because, of course, it's not one of theirs, right? It's that kind of thing, is that it would be different but close, and it's a close cousin too, if you know what I mean. And I guess to a large extent that was true with lace making back in the day, was that they didn't have the internet, no one made videos on it, and so they couldn't go to YouTube and learn how it was done. So they did their best. They tried to work it, because you can't really unpick lace. So they did their best to recreate what they saw, and this is what they came up with, So I could hear someone outside. If it's that stupid woman going to shout for her dog again, there's going to be a problem. She is so annoying, that lady. Her and that stupid dog. I mean, as you know, I love dogs. I truly love pretty much every dog in the world. There's only a couple of dogs I really can't understand. One is the hairless, tiny thing. What is that? That's just a, Chernobyl rat. I also don't really get something that you could accidentally sit on and kill without even noticing. Why would you have a dog that small? If you can't have a dog, don't have a dog. If you only can have something the size of a rat or a hamster, get a rat or a hamster. Hamsters are really nice. Not a big fan of rats. Really not a big fan of rats. Naughty Celt will vouch that we have agreed that rats really... No, let's not do rats. But for the rest of things, have a hamster. Hamsters are cool. Hamsters, guinea pigs, some of those are even bigger than the dogs they have. Have a hamster, you can put that in your bag and take it with you, It doesn't have to be this kind of rat on a stick dog thing. So yes, I was slightly disappointed. As I say, I've converted some of those videos to digital so I can because I got a DVD player for my PC, but it's got a cable that's 3 inches long, and so and that's what it came with. I'd need to get a USB extender to plug it in, so it's kind of really awkward to use, because it kind of all but dangles out the front of this computer, and it's just, why would you do such a thing? I mean, it probably works really nicely for laptops because obviously, you know, they're flat on the table usually and you know, right next to it. But it's bloody near impossible to use with a desktop. It just dangles out the side of it. So, kind of, plus, because they took so long to get here and were this expensive, I want to be able to, you know, kind of almost put them in a time-locked vault or something so that, you know, they will never have anything happen to them and I can, you know, watch a digital recording of it. So some of them, interestingly, are not actually DVDs. They come on a thumb drive, which I didn't notice. Which is slightly more irritating because obviously thumb drives are as cheap as chips. And yeah, they seem to be mainly the colour work ones, so that come on the thumb drives. So again, I'm backing them up on the simple grounds of if the thumb drive fails, because, you know, for those of you who have never met it, thumb drives do fail. And, you know, it only takes one idiot and they manage to overwrite it. So, format it, whatever. Don't need any of that. So, again, make a second copy, stick it in a backup somewhere. But again, you know, have the whole kind of library of them available to play on demand kind of thing. Or to look things up on rather than, you know, traipse over, find the DVD, stick it in the thing, forward fast 20 minutes, you know. Just have it on your machine and kind of drag the slider and, oh look, there it is. You know, it's a lot easier, so. But yeah, some of it is just not what I expected for the money, that's for sure. Well, I didn't expect... They're not very long videos, and I watch lots of computer videos, training material, just because I'm a bit of a klepto of training material, because I'm not a very good people person. I like to study, to an extent, how people explain things, how people explain to people who are not there to do something, how to make sense of it, or whatever it is. And obviously, sometimes it is not that 99% of the time, especially with the computer stuff, it's not that I can't do it before I've seen the video. I usually can do it before I've seen the video. What I'm interested in is, do I do it the same? And how do they explain what they're doing? Because if I'm self-taught, obviously I've made my own map, you know, my own way in the world, and I could be doing it all wrong. But as long as you get the right output, to a large extent, you still win the race, right? And, you know, there could be better ways of doing it. There could be, you know, had I considered this, is, you know, it. And so I watch it from a very much a how it's taught and how they would go about it point of view, rather than actually learning what they're teaching. Hence, I think when you find, you know, like the lace making, I've never done Buck's Point. I've thought about it. I drew out a bookmark and then never made it yet. But it is that, well, if I spot mistakes in the first 10 minutes, you gotta try it harder. And it, you know, if I, as a newbie, because I am indeed very much a newbie, I've never actually done it. I mean, I can throw some bobbins around, but that doesn't mean I instantly would take to a different lace kind. Now, I do have some sympathy for her in the sense of going between different lace types is difficult, because obviously, like I've said, with torsion, every time you do a stitch and put a pin in, you do the stitch again, the other side of the pin. In Buck's Point, you don't. So it would be difficult to, say, record a video of, say, making triangle, and then suddenly do Buck's Point stuff. But if you've just spent, as she does, half an hour explaining, right, here you do this, 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 you can't remember for that duration of a time span, it does kind of spoil it a little bit. Because, well, frankly, she makes quite a few. And continues to make quite a few throughout the rest of the video. There's not as much explanation in there as I really hoped. It's more of, like, for example, this is a rose ground. You know, you do half stitch here, half stitch here, half stitch here, and then a whole, you know, a cloth stitch at the, or a whole stitch at the end of it. Okay, right. So here's a little bank of rose ground. Off you go. You do half stitch, you know, pin half stitch, half stitch. This is the last one in this four, obviously. Pin half stitch, and then do a whole stitch or a cloth stitch here. Well, then, you know, and that'd be kind of it. And you're kind of going, okay, that's fine, but there's like 50 billion different variations on rose ground. There is different ways to do different things. And for example, in the Bucks Point one, because she's done a thing in a circle, a bit like our thing in a square, she has to join the two together. Now, the way she does it is different to ours, because she is meeting at the bottom, well, she's meeting in a circle, so she does, for the circle one, sorry, she does do much like we do here. She does the whole lazy Susan, pull a loop through, shove the bobbin through, tie a reef knot, call it a job. She doesn't show a close-up of it. She doesn't show actually how dog-eared the back will look, or how close. In fact, she doesn't even trim the bobbins on camera. She just puts them aside. That's it. You don't actually see her trim any of it. With a different one for a bookmark, so she ends up in a point. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. Oh, I know what's wrong with it. I've got my foot in a cable. That's why that happened. The camera cable was caught around my foot. With the bookmark, a bit like coming down to the bottom of this, she joins to a V and she gets the things and she kind of does some, but she kind of does the point, and then slightly to the right she joins, you know, like the inside bobbin here with the inside bobbin here and ties a knot, and she repeats that for all of the bobbins. But once again, you don't see her cut the knot. You don't see a close-up of how it's supposed to look. You just get, oh, we'll tie this one as a knot, and then tie this one as a knot, and this one as a knot, and this one as a knot, and this one as a knot. Okay. Oh, that's that. Because she does mention the sewing in method that we tried that caused me to lose my sanity. She does mention that. And she goes, oh, it's very fiddly, so I'm not going to show you. You don't even talk about how it would work. She literally just does tie knots, and okay, next pattern, next problem. It really feels incomplete, and you know, if I was not already a fae, this would not be a very helpful set of videos, because, well, there's so many questions that you're left wondering. I would almost be surprised if anyone could properly learn from it. You know, if you'd never done lace making at all, and there were no there was no YouTube, because there wouldn't have been when these videos were made, to go and, I don't think you could learn from these. I really don't. And so I am very disappointed with that, because I had a reasonable expectation that how Beginner's Guide 2 would kind of cover starting, finishing a bit, enough that you would actually feel you've done the right thing and it looks as good as you were going to get for your first cat mangled piece of lace. And it just seems really odd that it's more like cliff notes from a course you did, on site, you know, if you went and did like a week-long course with somebody, and, you know, I've only ever really done computer training courses, but, you know, if you go on a week-long course, you usually get a little book. You get like a workbook or whatever with it, and it covers all the things that you did, but obviously there was a lot more information in the actual course that, you know, the little helpful hints, oh, by the way, I find if you do this, it doesn't bite you in the butt later kind of comments that don't seem to be in the book, and you scribble your own notes down to add them to the book to remind you. This feels very much like looking at someone else's workbook cliff notes kind of thing, but without having done the course. It's not uninformative, and I'm not pretending it's not, but it's not, you have never touched lace in your life, let's learn how to lace, right? It's definitely not that, which is kind of what it sells itself to be. Because otherwise you wouldn't have the, in torsion, of course, you're used to. Who said I'd done torsion lace? This is how to start this lace. Who said I've done anything before? It's a bit of a presumption there, lady, because she doesn't cover how to fill your bobbins. She doesn't cover how to work your chart. Well, she covers a bit on how to work the chart, but she doesn't tell you, like, where to get a chart from, how to make a chart, how to alter a chart, the size of the chart, the size of thread that she's using. She doesn't mention any of these things. And I do believe that the patterns come, she says, grabbing one to check. Which one's this one? Colour and Bedfordshire. Let's not do a colour one, because it's a bit different. Let's see if these have. So, the first one I pick up is the intermediate Bedfordshire lace one. And it does come, as you can see, with... But that looks huge. That looks really, 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 really huge. Now, is that because that's the description of how to do it and not the actual pattern of doing it? 19 pairs, 1 gimp thread. Okay. So, while it normally... Okay, so let me point this out. Buck's work point is worked in a fine thread and designed with the outline of a gimp thread. Madeira Tan 50 was used for all these patterns, but Emily's similar size, such as Madeira Corona 50, well, it's just a different name. DMC Broder 50, Metler 60, Egyptian Piper's 140 over 2. 140 over 2? Fuck off. Now, bear in mind my weaver mentality. This is probably 20 over 2. Maybe a bit smaller, actually. It might be near a 30 over 2. The story goes, for weaving, is there is the one. Somewhere, somehow, some dude, woman, whatever. We'll go with dude. Some dude took a pound or kilo, depending on whether it's, you know, imperial or metric, and spun a length of yarn. And so the one in wool is different to the one in cotton because, well, it's different fibres. So let's, as this is cotton, so they made the one. All lengths, therefore, are compared to the one. So 8-2, which is a very common thing, although not in this household. We use 8-4, but there we go. Well, I'll tell you what 8-4 means, because it's really the same size shit. It's just different amounts of it. 8 denotes how much longer than the 1 the same amount of fibre made. Now, your elementary school mathematics will tell you that a pipe of 2 metres and, say, 10 metres long, if you make it 20 metres long and it is not necessarily half the width to make the same volume. Okay, so, and the same is true with threads. If you have 8 times as long, well, let's say it's 2, it is not necessarily half the width. It's close, but it is not half the width. So 8 is not half the size of 4. So 16 is not half the size of 8. So 120 is like human hair, frankly. And I'm sure there is a chart somewhere that denotes the comparable weaving threads that you could use. But I've seen an awful lot of lace threads marked as 40 over 2. And I get, in my mind, I'm thinking that was the thinner end rather than the fatter end, right? So I would say that this is probably 30 at best. 20 to 30. The 2 stands for how many plies there are. So hey, 8-4 has 4, 8-2 has 2. So it's the same shit, but it is twice as many. So 8-4 will be very much nearer twice the size of 8-2, because although twisted together, it does, again, twisting it together, if you lay down 3 pieces of rope and twisted them together, they would be thinner than just having 3 pieces next to each other. So the amount of twist, but if you did 2, they are not necessarily 2/3 the width of the 3, because the 2 leave a bit of a gap. 4 tends to kind of muscle its way in there, so it makes it a bit, you know, it is complicated mathematics, and mathematically you can work it out, right? But, you know, few of us do because life's too short for that stuff. But, you know, it is a reasonable approximation that 8-4 will be roughly twice the size of 8-2. But 16-2 is not necessarily half the size of 8-2. So the 120 over 2, as I say, that's at least 4 times thinner than this, plus a bit more, because it's smaller. So that's 4 times thinner than what I'm using here. Now, what I'm using here is not the finest of fine. I do have finer. In fact, I put the finest crap I have on my Lazy Susan. So, for example, she says, right, dragging it out of my toolbox. Just trying to separate the threads so you can see them move more clearly. You should be able to see, even on camera, that they are distinctly thinner than the threads below. And, well, even this, I think this is only 42. So if it's 3 times thinner plus more than this, well, this stuff is frail as arse, right? I would not want to work with thinner than this as a whole, because life is too short to be spending your whole time redoing bobbins and inserting, you know, new threads because they've snapped. Now, things like Honiton and so on are done with incredibly fine threads, don't get me wrong. But they don't have to be. You can do them bigger. It's like this. I could have done that. I could have made this with 8-4 cotton. I could have made this out of real nice chunky stuff. And I'd probably, I could, if I'd made it out of, you know, really chunky stuff, I could have probably had 1 square and made 2 for the whole window. But it would look really chunky and really big. That's much more shawl kind of stuff. Neck curtains are thin and delicate. Now, while this is not going to be hugely thin and delicate enough, it fits more with my house. I am not a delicate person, so this definitely would fit with my house. So I don't know. 140 over 2. Jesus, no. I'd have to go and look up what that is even remotely close to and stuff that I can buy, because I've never heard of any of those. Probably because it's all American and we have different shit, so... 140 over 2. Oh, screw that. I've got some 40 over 2 and I'm looking at it on a cone over there. And it really is, for want of a better word, tacking thread. It is kind of very similar to that stuff on my Lazy Susan. So 3 times thinner than that. Well, 3-ish plus times thinner than that. No. The world is too short. The life's too short for that, and would it look fantabulous? I'm sure it would. If each of these were done in the finest of fine threads and really, they'd end up being really small. I'm sure they'd look fantabulous. My sanity, as we found on Saturday, would not take that. Because then I'd need to make like 100 blessed squares, and they'd still take like 58 hours to do. So, no. Just no. This is already a labour of love, and we're not even for the end of the second square yet. I know we took a couple of days off to do the experiment, but come on, you know, this is not a quick project. It's not a you know, and I do think that if this was something I could, you know, if I could do a square a week, so it was going to be 18 weeks kind of thing, 3 months almost to make the whole thing, 3 or 4 months to make the whole thing. I would probably care for it less because it didn't take so long to make, and that potentially you could, you know, should one square, you know, have an unexpected demise due to, you know, not coming undone or whatever and falling apart, well, you could always make a new one. Only take a week, sew it in, fixed. Now obviously in theory I can still always sew in a new one and all that kind of stuff, but at 58 hours per square, it's not a quick fix. 58 hours is proving, you know, best part of a month, or it feels like it anyway. It's certainly taking its time, and obviously depending on the amount of time you can give it, some months have been better than others, and obviously December I hope will be a good month for it, because obviously I'm off work, I can do some during the day, so maybe I get up, I do a couple of hours, and then, you know, have a bit of snooze, recharge, watch a film, whatever, and then in the evening do some more. So maybe it'll grow at double the speed. That would be quite nice. Maybe I'll get to do some epically long ones, and you know, I'll start at lunchtime and I'll be in the mood and nothing will be aching, and come 10 o'clock at night I think, oh shit, it's kind of bedtime, it's gone dark, I didn't realise I haven't eaten, I haven't done this, you know, I've skipped 3 meals and I'm hungry, oh well, never mind, I'll go to bed. And you know, maybe that will happen. Doubt it, because I don't tend to skip meals, but you know, haven't eaten today, just realised. I was going to have a potato, and then I looked up, it was 7 o'clock, and so I didn't. Shit. Oh well. Pot noodle it is later then. Bit annoying because I was really looking forward to that baked potato. I kind of planned it and everything. Oh well. So yes, it is the... You know, with the time I can give it, there are limitations. There's, you know. Thanks, Tenchi. I as I was saying, you know, it's the, if I could do one, you know, if I could do a square in a week, I I don't think I would care for it as much as I do. Because obviously, should something happen to it, oh, well, you make another square, right? Whereas because this takes freaking forever and, there's blood, sweat and tears in it, then, well, you tend to want to care for it and you want it to live forever and you don't want to, hence the experiment of seeing what happens when washed because, well, the last thing you want is the fucking thing to fall apart. Just don't need that, After all that time, you've had it up in your window, you've got used to it, you really, and then you go to wash it because it looks like something died on it, and it dies, and you'd be like, I spent like 1,500 hours making that, and it's just fallen apart. No, don't need that. So how's Tenchi? How's my friend Tenchi today? I must... Cool. I must send you a message. I have some news I need to share with you on a level. Must send you that. No, it's yeah, I still have a lot in my head about the work theme that's going on, and it's stressing me out. Well, to be honest, it's not stressing me out as much as it was, because I am slightly resigned to the fact that it's, despite everyone being told, oh, nothing's changing, well, clearly something is changing, quite a big thing is changing, and for three of us, it is quite a big change, and so stop telling everyone nothing's changing when three of us are changing quite a lot. And there's been a few odd comments from certain people about it, and it's kind of like, you do know it's not just as simple as that, right? It's a bit like if you've been in an abusive relationship. So let's, I'm not saying you got beaten to a pulp every day, but let's say you've been in an abusive relationship and now you're feeling a little bit kind of hesitant. You're not really you're not really keen to be looking for that kind of thing at the moment. You mind your own business. And it's kind of like, well, we want you to go on this like blind date show and it'll be fine. It'll be great. You can go on a date. I don't want to. Right now, really not bothered. Happy doing my own thing here. Oh, no. You can't possibly do that. Well, yeah, but kind of got hang-ups from before, and I kind of need to let them mull over in my mind a little bit before I'm kind of willing to experiment in the future as to, is this person going to be nice to me, and it is that kind of, you don't just wake up one morning and go, oh, it's all fine now. It doesn't work like that. It's years of being one way and living with, even just losing a partner you've had for a really long time, changing your partner, things can seem really, really weird because things they did, things they didn't do, suddenly isn't the way anymore. And we've got that level of change coming. So we are distinctly apprehensive, to say the words. Mainly because we don't have contracts yet. But it's a work in progress. It's yeah. So yes, I have. But I'm going to be streaming Monsters and Memories a week Saturday, and I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. I do see a potential for experimenting with some of the patterns that they've given us on my Bucks Point DVD kind of lace making thing. I do think I might experiment a little with some of those, just to again break the monotony of doing the whole kind of same triangles day after day after day. It's not that I hate the triangles, but I don't want to get to a point where I hate the triangles, because it's a bit like, if you've ever done a job and you've slowly kind of, it's ground away at you to a point you've got to leave now because you're really not in the mood. Almost anything they change cannot bring back the original joy. The underlying no is still kind of there, right? And so I don't want to get to that point with this. I don't want to get to a point where, you know what, I'm bored of doing this. I'm really not in the mood of this anymore. I don't want it to become, you know, a work in progress that kind of gets slung in a drawer somewhere. Not that you can sling this in a drawer, look at the size of it. But, you know, that effectively, I know I get to the end of a square and go, right, I can't be bothered anymore. And I've got a small pile of squares. Maybe I'll laminate them and call them, like, you know, placemats or something. And let's not pretend. Let's do something else, right? There is a bit of me that never wants to get to the I got halfway through it and got bored stage. And more to the point, while I am still only on square number 2, and I'm averaging 1 day off every couple of weeks, which I don't think is bad. It's, you know, it's not bad for you. You know, if this was work, you are mandated to have rests for a minimum of a day every 14 days. So it is, and obviously streaming is kind of like having another job, only it doesn't really pay. So, but it is like having another job, and having a break occasionally to it's not that I don't want to do this, because that's the thing I want to get over. It's not that I don't want to do it, but sometimes I just look at it, it's like I'm really not in the mood for sitting and streaming, you know, I want to watch a film, I want to watch some TV, I don't want to sit here kind of in silence. I mean, I can play something through my ear, but I can't play it if it's copyright, so otherwise you get copyright strikes and then everybody gets grumpy. So hence it would have to go to only my ear and not yours, which is fine. But then, you know, it still doesn't really detract from the fact that I know you can't hear it, so we're not sharing that experience. So that makes it a little bit weird in my head, because, you know, I can't then sing along to tunes because you can't hear them, and my singing days are best reserved for in the car where no one can hear you as you scream past them at 70 miles an hour. So, it is, you know, I used to be able to sing really well. I used to do solos at weddings and all sorts. But I was a kid and my voice hadn't broken. Now I'm older, out of practice, and frankly, it's not a thing you need to be suffering from. Do want to show you this though. Hang on. She says, trying to grab it. Can't really show this. Don't know how to do this. I know what I can do. Oh, ouch. So I've done more of my little cross stitch thing. Well, I did solo, so I can't, and people didn't kind of throw rocks at me, and, you know, I was asked for, hang on, dog, can you move your paw? I'm sitting on it. I know you're half asleep. Yeah, I'm not so keen on the green in the flowers. This is the planned colours, because you get given them. It's two-tone green flowers with a pink edge. I would rather have had some level of pinky purpley flowery colour, frankly. Even just leaving them as white with a couple of specks in, you know. But the green is, well, green. And then there's a lighter green that goes in there. And then there's like green frondy bits. Bear in mind, of course, it's kind of all done in quarters. So there's green frondy bits that fill into the middle. And there's a pink and purpley and green flower in the middle. And it's kind of like, flowers aren't green. Flowers don't generally be green. And so I have to say that if I was... Someone said to me, oh, that would have looked nice if you had a purple background or something. You're like, yeah, it probably would. But it's a kit. It came. This is that it's designed. This is how it's supposed to look. And on the picture on the thing, upstairs. It's in here somewhere. And it's kind of... stems are green, flowers are not, right? And so now, if you look at this, let me take it out the packaging so it's not quite so friggin' shiny. If I zoom in a bit, hang on, so you can get a better look, right? Wrong way. Let's move it a bit more to the middle so the chat's not over the top, right? As you can see, right, I've done the purpley bits here. I haven't put the little beady bit in. Bite me. I've got these little flower bits, which you can vaguely see are green on here. If you look, you know, if I move it up a little bit, you can see on this bit that this is slightly greenish, which I didn't really notice. But it's got some frondy bits. That's fine. Okay with frondy greeny bits. But this flower bit in the middle, there's quite a lot of green. I definitely would want, if I was going to do this again, not in a hurry right now to do it again, but these outside flowers would not have green in, and this middle flower would not have green in. I don't mind these being green, because as you say, stems are green, leaves are green. I'm kind of cool with that. But considering how small this bugger is, the green is quite noticeable. I mean, it doesn't show up so well on camera, she says, trying to bring it up a bit. But it is quite green, and I expected it to be a little more pastel. Well, exactly. The side ones definitely look like flowers. The middle thing is... well, the middle thing, I agree, it's not overly flower. I'm calling it flower because, well, it's a thing and it's kind of repetitive. So, thing, flower, mandala. Yeah, I think you could get, but I do think if that had been, say, a couple of shades of pink to go with the pinky, purpley, you know, maybe more of the freaking lilac even. You know, a bit lilac, bit of pink, you know, paler pink, and then the purpley and the pink colours, it would look like a flower. But because so much of it is green, it stops it looking like a flower. And it's just... if I was to do this again, I would change so much of it. I would... not that I am an expert, you understand, but, you know, knowing what I know now, you know, which is, let's face it, actually technically not a lot, but with the experience that I have, I would already say this doesn't look right from a design perspective, and frankly needs a change. And would, you know, again, if I was giving it to somebody, I would not give them this one, not with the green in it, no. I think one of the other things that does annoy me about this kit is it tells you it's anchor threads, but doesn't tell you which colours they are, so you can't get more. But I am really, really surprised. So you get this little card of string, right? Look how much of this purple's still here. Well, I've done the majority of the purple. How is there so much of it? It's almost like there's enough to do two, right? Because technically I think there is enough to do two. There's certainly enough room on the cloth to do another pair. But I would not use these colours. And obviously I would not be doing it again in a hurry. I would want to break, because... but I think, again, if you had colours you chose and colours that felt more right to you, you'd be a bit more enthusiastic. I'm not hating doing it. Even though, to a large extent, you could argue it's very similar to lace making in that there is only really two moves. There is forward slash and a backward slash. Cross or twist, you know, kind of deal. There's only really two sides to it. So from that point of view, you know, it is pretty repetitive. You just have poke here in this hole, poke here in this hole. But I do like the fact that, you know, I can sit there doing a bit with TV, and you know, watching YouTube or something, and I do like the fact that I can, you know, do that. And the only downside is depending on where and what I'm doing, I either need to go away and count what everything should be and then trying to remember, or like filling in those little flowers. Actually filling in those flowers, I don't need to look because the insides are all the same. So you basically lattice the bottom of the flowers, and then right at one side of them there is kind of a straight line of 3 stitches in a row. Repeat. So you do that 4 times per little flower and off you go. So I can kind of do that without the pattern because I've checked they're all the same. So I know that that's good, and that I can, you know, once committed, once you know that that's the pattern, you can even look and see where it should be, because all of the dark green bits go along the outside, and then the in the kind of crevices where the pink made a shape. So you can just kind of go for it, which is kind of good. So from that point of view, you know, that's cool. And I also quite like the fact that you mark off the stitches as you've done them, so you can see how much of a percentage, because the app that I've got will show you the percentage of, you know, work that you've done. So for example, if I go look, do file properties, I did manage to crash it yesterday. I've done 3,007 stitches, possibly and small because I did have to unpick a few, but we won't talk about those. But I've completed 3,007 stitches. I've got 1,753 to go, and I have therefore done 63%. From that point of view, you know, you have to argue, kind of happy with that. That's because that's, you know, 3,000 stitches, that's quite a few. So in some ways it would be nice if maybe I should count how many stitches are in each of these sections, so that I could kind of keep a similar tally for myself, because obviously I tend to do whole sections, and I'd be able to kind of cheer myself up by going, I did so many stitches today. The question is, so for example, stitch, pin, stitch, is that 2 stitches? Or is that 1 stitch? Or is the whole rose ground 1 stitch? But yeah, I think it's quite motivating when you can see the percentage of it done available to you. I quite like that. I quite like the whole, you know, looking at it done, you can highlight the colour so you can see where the bits are that you need to do. That it will keep track on a per colour basis of how much of it you've done. So you've got quite a bit of stats to kind of give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. So knowing that you've done all of the lilac ones, for example. Why does that look wonky? I think it's just because I haven't put a pin in it. Oh, it's got a pin in it. Okay. Looks wonky. I think it's just because I haven't done this bit. Yeah, it's because I just hadn't done that bit. So you need to tense up a little bit. No, you're good. So yeah, it's quite motivating to be able to see that, and I think that's a good thing. It's a bit like, you know, my little chart in the corner here that shows how far we are. you know, it could be quite good. I mean, what you really need is almost a foot pedal and a count of stitches to tap the foot pedal every time you complete a stitch. So that you've got like a running counter and you can actually show like a proper progress bar of it actually moving. Stuff like that would be quite cool, but it's not really that practical. I mean, I could count stitches, because you'd have to count like one triangle and then multiply it up, but then we make triangles, so count stitches in a triangle. After all, I counted the holes for pricking, so because I got bored. I wondered how many wretched little things I was pricking, so I counted them. It took quite a while to count them. Let's put a bit of a stick away. 1, 2. Oh, you get to go back in your home, don't you? Because we borrowed you from here. So you can go back in here. Because we don't need you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, my spider tense was tingling. That was a stick's worth of stuff. So we can get rid of you for a minute. So yes, having had yesterday off, I do feel a little bit more invigorated today. A lot less tired, so... Well, as far as I can tell anyway. Oh look, we have ads in 3.5 minutes. Quickly reading something, bear with me. Sorry, a friend of mine just posted something. It's like, it starts off with the, since my back and legs are sore from working in the room, I've turned my attention to a task I've been dragging. And then there's a picture of some like gammon steaks, and it's kind of like, what, you dreaded eating the gammon up? I mean, you're not vegetarian, so it's not like I know that it's not that. I mean, apparently this is nothing to do with what they were dreading, but that was the picture. So I was a little bit confused momentarily, which is what I was reading, because it was kind of like, it's not like you to be a little bit kind of put out by that. I mean, since when's that bothered you? I meant to check something. We got paid, and me and my co-worker both thought that it looked a little short. So we need to count how many times we were on call last month. Stop licking. It's like a little snake licking the air, he is. There's nothing there. Strange animal. He's kind of almost doing it in his sleep as well. Strange being. I love him dearly, mostly. get to the bottom of this, we are going to pull out some pins, because we like pulling out pins. Makes me happy. Well, makes me feel like we finished something. That's more to the point. It's that we finished gratification. Bit of a dopamine hit of going, look, see the... Oh, look, there are the mistakes that I made. I knew there'd be some kind of moment, but... I'm not going back that far. I mean... So, you know, they're there for good, so you might as well just live with them and know they're there. But... Huzzah! Let's pull some pins. Because I feel better when we've pulled some pins. It's fun. So let's check we have done... No, we haven't. So, we need to stamp the pins down. You're all tangled. How can you get so tangled? Oh wait, because there is something to tangle. But seriously, how? How in the name of sanity are you this tangled? You can come out of it. You can come out of it. You come out of it. So you're only tangled around this one. There you go. You're not tangled at all. Right. So let me angle this so I can see them. Because of course I can't really see these pins very well. Slight angle, they look like they're in a row that they're not, so that makes life difficult. And I might have already pushed a row down. We'll have to see. It's not entirely clear. Let's pull out these ones and see what we've got left, because that's clearly the best idea. Let's pull these out, but not you, because you asked to stay. With any luck, my additional pins will arrive tomorrow, and I will have a big pile of these stupid, bendable, frankly useless pins. I do think it's actually removing them that bends quite a lot of them, or gives them the will to bend. I just have this kind of deep-seating thought that that's kind of where these get their bend. You know, a lot of them, when I look at them and go, oh, you're bent. Some of them are bent because I put them in and they bend, and I'm aware they bend as I put them in because sometimes I can feel it. You see, I am not... You are to come out, and so you are not. Trying to make sure I don't pull out the wrong ones. I mean, in theory, it probably doesn't actually matter because, you know, they're not going to have any real tension on them, and they are, you know, back here. It's the outside ones, and, you know, there is their counterparts opposite. So, the ones on this side of the line. But right, they weren't the right ones to push in. Even though I thought for a moment I'd done a second line of it. Apparently, no I hadn't. So I was right. Which is a bit more worrying. Now, we do do know there are some more pins hiding that could come out, because we left 3 rows of pins under here. So there are more pins that we could extract out from here to add to the collection of pin. So we shall do some of that. No, you're an edge pin. I need to leave you in. I need to pull out all of these. See, there's a pin missing there. Now I know I've just got a whole load of pins that I'm about to pull out, and I'm going to pull one out of the pot to put in the hole. But there's actually supposed to be a pin in there. So we will put you in, because you are on the middle line. So we want you in there. And you can come out. I need to check you're not an edge pin. No, you're not an edge pin. You can come out. And then I'll pick this, because we didn't do so much of this last time. So under one of the other quarters under my arm, there are more pins that can come out. But these, of course, I have rather well pushed down for an obvious reason, so we don't get caught on them all. But there are a number of pins in here that, well, they have to come out in the end, so it's true, be honest. But they are definitely not serving the purpose they were at the time we put them in, which was to give them strength while I worked down and was pulling against them there. So from that point of view, they have very much done their job, and for which I am forever grateful. But right here, right now, we don't need you in there, we need you back in the pot. So that's what we're doing. And I've just spotted that one's not got a cross in between it. How freaking annoying was that? I remember thinking that the last one was pretty fucking good, and clearly I got sloppy at the end, because that's towards the end. I'm doing with my fingernails, which is probably not good for them, but then hey, you've probably already worked out by now I am not the girliest girl, and I have some fingernails, but it took me to about the age of 45 to even start growing them, because my fingernails historically have always split or flaked, for even more accurate, so that you end up with like bits flaking off, and they tear at the sides really easily. And they always have, and you know, oh, you must be short of this vitamin. No, I eat those. Oh, you should eat this. I ate that. Didn't make any difference. And it's kind of like, no, that's just how they want to be. And I can accept that. You know, we can all be what we want to be, you know. I can't force it, you know, so I'll, you know, happily let it do its thing. So look at those rose ground. They look alright. Yeah, they look alright. So, now I have a few more pins in my pot. Makes it easier to grab the pin out of the pot, more to the point. And that there are more pins to grab in general. Right, let's think about this. So, it would be easier to put you away and do the other ones that are all out. So, pop you in here and under here. A bit short, obviously, looking at the angle that this one's poked up at, but whatever. So let's put you over here, because you don't need you in a hurry. You over here, because that's not you in a hurry either. Pull out you I don't need most of you in a hurry either, actually. And we need you. Right. You are caught around a pin, because you're a 9. So I got rid of a load of bobbins, and now I have even more bobbins. Well, it worked out well, didn't it, Kimber? Right. Oh, Rory, you chose to sit there. I think one of the biggest problems I have with the evening stream is that right now I'm feeling kind of awake enough and willing enough, but I also know that, let's say I go till 10 o'clock, well, it'll take 2 odd hours then to upload, so that makes it midnight, and when I start work, I get up for work at stupid o'clock tomorrow morning, and it is that kind of, I don't want to stay up late, but then I feel obliged to stay up late to, you know, write on what the video is and you know, tell people about it and do all of those kind of things. Well, by the time I've done that and you know, well, now it's even later, and then it's even later, and then it's even later, and it's really not ideal. You have 2 twists. Where did you get your extra twist from? More to the point, most of you don't even normally have twists on, so the fact that you 2 have twists is actually a little bit of a worry. Hang on. I was thinking, maybe I twisted them last night. Can't have done, you only did that bit today. Don't be so stupid. As I said, one of the things that I have considered is that maybe for the middle of my net curtain, to do something different with, just to do something different. And one thought I had to mind was, I'll have to get it another day because I'm not going to extract myself from dog and cables and comfortable, because, you know, that's kind of a rare thing for me to be comfortable while doing this. So, you know, don't want to jinx it by, you know, moving or something, right? I have some really fine gold and silver thread. And I mean really quite irritatingly fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm wondering if replacing the thread for this with the sparkly silver one would be a good plan. I'm not sure how well it washes, so we'd need to do a bit of an experiment on the washing front again, which involves making a thing, which involves, yeah, you can see where that's going, can't you? I do have a bookmark with some of it in, but, and it does look nice. It doesn't really show up on camera very well, or well, at least a still camera. It might show up on video camera a bit better, but maybe not, you know. Yeah. I mean, I think that, to be honest, I think that would be quite a nice potential thing to do. Would be to have the kind of silvery sparkle in the middle. Take away some of the harshness as well of the white solid. It would make it a little bit more dim, for want of a better word. I think that could be quite a nice thought. But again, it's kind of really one you've got to... Didn't add one, dipshit. I thought I just added one. I did just add one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did. It just doesn't look like it because it pulls towards the other one. That's why. Where's the hole? No, it's not that hole. That's why. So yeah, I think, you know, something like that could work quite nicely. I mean, in some ways, doing a coloured one would also work quite nicely. Having a splash of colour. But to me, net curtains don't have a splash of colour. Whereas a bit of sparkle, though, yeah, because of obviously sunlight and all the rest of it, a little bit of sparkle could work. You know, of all the things that could work, sparkle would be one of them. As an option, at least. So yes, giving thought to that. But this is the problem. My brain keeps having ideas, and it's kind of like, brain, you need to stop. We need to just make the wretched thing. Otherwise, you'll come up with 50 different things, and you'll never actually finish it because you won't be able to decide what you're doing it. I had the same problem when I was doing the king size bedspread double knit thing. Was that I knew I had to decide what was happening in the middle. And it took forever to decide what was happening in the middle, to the point that I almost gave up on it. And it shouldn't be that way. Now, there's nothing wrong with, you know, do I pick this shade of pink or that shade of pink? Do I make it, you know, do I fill it in or do I not fill it in? You know, that kind of, you know, a more subtle variant. But the truth of the matter is you, when you get there, you need to have made the decision. You know, so for example, if this was the last square I could make before deciding that the middle was going to be different, well then I've only got kind of half a square to go. You need to have made a choice before the end of the square. Before you start the next one, realistically, you need to be, you know, when you prep the bobbins, it's now too late, right? And so from that point of view, I do need to kind of stick to a plan. As I said, I know that I can adjust the middle squares for the last 4. So at any point until then, I can declare that the middle ones, which are the middle 4, can... Hello, Silver Dragon. Thank you very much for the raid. Nice to see you. I am hypothesizing about when I can have to make my decisions by. For obviously, as I've got 18 squares to make, these are definitely outside squares as far as I'm concerned. Although, of course, I've got till the end of square 4 to decide that actually they're inside squares, but I'm pretty confident these are outside squares. Now, the middle 4 currently are planned to be the same as the outside squares, but they don't have to be. And so I was just discussing whether or not replacing the worker thread for the cloth sections with this infinitely tiny silver thin thread that I've got, which I did do on a bookmark. I did gold and I think I did a silver one. And it doesn't show up very well on camera, but it does work really quite nicely in person, right? Gives it a bit of sparkle, but it's not garish. It's not nasty. Whereas, for example, if I made it, I know, pillar box red, that's kind of gonna really stand out. And to me, net curtains are white. So from that point of view, having something where I can, you know, having a decision I can make later, but obviously I've still got to make it in time, because once I get, you know, start that fourth one, it's kind of arbitrarily too late. I need to have decided by then. But of course, the advantage is if I decide really super early on that actually, yes, we're going to do, I know, silver sparkles, right? I don't have to do the outside 14. I can do like 4 in a middle, 4 in a middle, 4 in a middle, 4, you know, I can intersperse them, and so provide a little bit of variety along the way. Because, you know, that could be a definite thing. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to do after all. A little bit of difference. Or even do an entirely different stupid thing in the middle. Do a whole different pattern in the middle. Do something completely different. You see, this is the problem. My brain's going, well, if I did something completely different, I could. Yeah, you could, brain. Shut up. Yeah. There are too many choices, and my brain needs to stop having choices, because it's not very good at making decisions, and the more choices it has, the worse it is. And so for every choice that it comes up with, it's kind of like, yes, you could, brain, but let's not think about that for now. No, that one, or that one, or that one, or that one, or that one. Can we just kind of crack on with the original plan, please, brain? So yes, I am contemplating the future, while nowhere near it yet. So how's Silver of Dragon? I think I saw you were playing a game earlier, so. You out the way. There we go. Now don't make with the pins. There you go. Tuck down nicely like that. Right, where's the pokey thing? Oops. You dropped the pokey thing. Let's push this down a little bit. Okay. Down a little bit. You just moved. I felt that. going to be the weekend soon. That would be a good thing. Going to try and get up a bit earlier this weekend. Maybe do something with my ship pile. I had to move some of my ship pile. I didn't actually tidy it up, of course you understand, because, well, I'm allergic to that. But I did move it, so I do really feel slightly... Maybe I need to cull it a little. Just a little. I mean, you know, let's not go overboard here. But, you know, have a brief kind of scrounge around and sort a few bits out. Because, you know, that's the kind of human and sane thing to do. Neither of which, of course, are genetically me, but that's, you know, that's what we should be doing, so... And I missed. How did I miss? Found the thing, I missed. This is all at the same time. There we go. Alright. There we go. I must admit, I do find myself kind of wanting to take a bit of a detour and make a Christmas present for someone. The only problem is, I've got no guarantee that the Christmas present would actually work, if you know what I mean. So I'm a little bit, I don't really want to make it, ooh, I know, you're alright. That's right, it was just the way it was. That's right, I was just fearing for a moment I hadn't completed my raised ground correctly. But I have, it's just that because the other one snugged up, it made it look a little bit more odd. Kind of would like to go at a Bucks Point thing. Try and find some form of Christmas tree looking thing. I'll make that. Or even just the bookmark that's in that beginner thing. I mean, it's not overly fancy, but it's fancy enough. The only problem is I am not finding thread that small. I am so not finding thread that small. I have got some small thread, but I don't know what rate it is in comparison. She says, looking in her pot, is it in here? No, it's behind the pot. Of course it's behind the pot. So, I have... This is the stuff on... It says number 40, but it's not number 40. Oh, this is 80. It's not actually the 100. I thought I had a 100 one. So there is a thinner one than this. Lord help us all. But I'd probably use that and some of my nice real fat thread that I've got, because I've got some beautiful fat stuff that would make a nice gimp, because, well, I've got a big ton of stuff from my weaving exploits, so I've got more 8/4 cotton than I know what to do with, and that is, you know, great. It is great cotton, so that would make a really good gimp thread. It's possibly a bit fat, but bite me. I've already put. I'm looking at 3 cones of it from here, so and I've got like a box of it outside, which is probably another 15 or so. They're 500 grams, so let's not be under any illusion. I've got plenty. In fact, I think I've actually got more than that. I might have 2 boxes of it, so it is very much a thing. And part of me would enjoy doing something that's a bit different, but like I was explaining about the lady doing the video, one of the things that's really obvious in the video is she struggles to get it right. Well, if she struggles to get it right, what I don't want to do is come back here and get this wrong because I went off doing something else in the meantime that's similar but a bit different, because that will result in inconsistencies. And of all the things that are true about laces, what you do is almost unimportant. It is being consistent that is the keyest thing. Everything will look fine as long as you are consistent about it all. So, because, well, as long as none of them stand out as different, they don't look like mistakes, because they look deliberate, even if it's all wrong. So, then we will bundle you up with a stick. Now, some of you probably could do with being longer, because that will help with the stick process. So let's undo you a little bit. And undo you a little bit, because that's the thing. And you, my friend, are a frigging mess. Look at the state of this bobbin. It's all bunched itself up at the top. It doesn't want to undo. You are also on the shorter side of life, so I'll undo you a little bit. And yeah, the rest of you are close enough, although you probably could be better. Let's stick you all together. One of the other things that I found frustrating with those videos that I was on about is the fact that it's beginner stuff, and she pulls out things like the fat sticks with an elastic on that I've got, and goes, oh, well, if you've got these, well, first of all, love, this is a beginner course. These people are looking at you almost wondering what they should buy, and you didn't bother to cover any of that. This is why it feels very much like Cliff Notes from a course where there were other things, and the person who handed you the Cliff Notes had lost like the original starting pack, and all they've got is kind of like the book that they found on a shelf somewhere. And so there's no notes on it, no nothing, because it very much is like day 3. You know, we've now covered how you get where you get a pillow from, what bobbins are, and which bobbins are useful for this, and the kind of thread that you should be using, because none of the video actually talks of the threads that she uses. None of the videos really mention the bobbins. She does briefly mention a bit about bobbins, but it is literally like half a sentence. It's almost along the lines of, these are Midlands bobbins. Okay. Is that good or bad? You know, is this a personal preference? And so it was a little bit, and because she made so many mistakes in the first 10 minutes, that really has bothered me, that they charge that much money when she makes that many mistakes. And you know, it's not like an I know better job, because I know I don't. But when you've just told me you must twist it 3 times and you do 2, I can count to 3, especially when I'm not doing it. Now, we all know that when you're doing it, it is way harder to count to 3. Because what she does is she does the half stitch and then 2 more twists. But when she doesn't do the 2 more twists, it really shows. Because, well, you've done 2. We can see you've done 2. And you're banging on about doing 3, but you've done 2. And you're kind of going, so you're going to do the other one now? What about the other one? Oh, you've moved on now. Okay, apparently not. And it's that whole kind of, you're left sitting there kind of going, but I know it's wrong. She does point out at one point she missed a pin. Did you spot it, she said? And it's kind of like, no, I was too busy noticing the fact that you didn't count right. I didn't notice that you'd missed a pin somewhere. You did that too, did you? Excellent. Yeah, more mistakes. And it is that kind of, it's more mistake than right, almost. And you know, that's kind of not what you need in beginner material. So Tenchi, I have put up on my schedule the timing for the Monsters and Memories stress test, because I will be doing that. That is going to be a thing. And so I thought I'd let you know, so you can come along and watch, and you can see if you can be available or not. I mean, obviously, if you can't, you can't. I don't hate you for it. But I know how much you kind of like these kind of games. So, yeah, Monsters and Memories doing stress tests next Saturday. So not kind of 2 days' time, a week Saturday. And I'm really looking forward to it because I like Monsters and Memories. It's a stress test, so to start with, the game may run like a dog, because, well, that's why it's a stress test. But previously, we had a lot of fun in their play tests. I'm confused. I don't seem to have the right number of bobbins. I know I say this every frigging time, but right here, right now, this doesn't feel the right number of bobbins, because this came out the end. Now, these have to come out, but if these come out, when these get to the other side and I have to take out another pair of them, then there's only 2 and there should be 3, but there aren't any to add yet. So I clearly screwed up my last transition across and didn't include a pair of bobbins that I needed to. So we need to undo this. The joys of lace making. We undo this and then we work backwards to the other side. And we unpin you, which is awkward because you're at a funny angle, and a tiny pin. We undo you. We add in, you've got a cross, so that's fine. We add in you, because you, Rory, darling. I do love how, for example, you know when you're in a crowd and people jostle you, and it really becomes quite infuriating because they almost walk into you and like shoulder barge you constantly, and you're like, dude, can you not, like, you know, I'm 20 stone, love. You can't tell me you can't see that I exist, right? You know, I'm not, you know, size 0 here. I have, you know, weight and girth. You must have felt that. You must have seen me. How are you so blatantly ignoring me, you idiot? And so I'm feeling a little bit like that with the dogs, because they constantly bash into me, and it kind of is irritating. So, squinch. So now we work back to where we started. One, 2, 3, 4. This would be right. Because then we put this pin in here. And we go back the way we came. And we cinch that up a bit. And we get a pin. We put that in there. Twisty, and then we chuck you out because we don't need you either, and you can go in here out the way because there's room for you in here out the way, and we can punch you all the way up there. Right. Make you all a little bit longer, I think, because you're being annoying. I am slightly annoyed at myself for wasting so much of this thread. I may use different bobbins and then reserve this for experiments. Because, well, some of them are clearly enough to do a whole new square. So it would be a shame to just throw it in the bin. It's already on a bobbin. But of course, with an experiment, you can start with a pile of knots because, well, it's an experiment. It is not up for, you know, knighthood by the Queen. And so therefore does not matter if it looks a little bit ropey at the start and the finish because, well, it's usually not the start and the finish that you're, curious about. So from that point of view, I'm definitely, fortunately, I have a crap load of these bobbins. I may actually use different bobbins. I have considered using different bobbins, just because I've got other bobbins. But you are kind of committed to the bobbins for the whole square, and as we know from the spangle scenario, that was not a good plan. But I do have some Danish bobbins. They're lighter, but they're not actually really any thinner. I've been keeping an eye on some other bobbins, because, well, I've kind of got kleptomania to an extent. I have a notepad kleptomania issue in that if there is a pretty notepad, I want it. If you've ever seen my handwriting, you know that it's not because I'm going to write in it. Now, I do use one notepad for my weaving exploits, and I take a photo with my mobile phone, and I print them out on a little kind of photo camera, and basically makes them stickers, and I stick them in the book, and write a few details about, I use this size yarn, this colour, who it was for, I had this many DPI, whatever, so that should I need to make some more, I could. And that's a good plan, and lots of people said, oh, that's a really clever idea, and it's kind of like, well, no, actually, it's because I'm a strange person, and I really felt I ought to do something with my notebooks, because I must have like 40 different notebooks currently that I have 0 written in any of them. Then I found a new brand, so I've got a couple more with like 3 lines written in 2 of them, about different subjects, I should point out. So it's not like it's the same shit written twice, it is different subject, but one per subject, and then of course I've not done anything with it, because, well, that's a thing. Put you over there for a minute, and then we can grab you, and we twist you, and we add you to the mix. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a good number. So yes, I have a bit of a kleptomania of notepad issue. In fact, these new notebooks really are thick. They are thick. And I really like them. I also have a fountain pen issue, but I don't tend to buy those for some reason. I really want them all of them, but somehow I managed to resist that one a bit better than the notepad. Notepads I'm not very good at resisting, so ooh, they're pretty. I like one of those. I'll have every single colour. And then I never do anything with them. So I've got tons of notebooks. I've got more than 40, I think. It is slightly disturbing. But I have similar problem with bobbins, I'm finding, in that, ooh, that's an interesting bobbin shape. I want like 1,000 of those. I can't afford 1,000 of those, but I want 1,000 of those. So I saw some the other day, and square ones, that's what it was. There's 2 kinds I'm currently looking at that I don't currently possess, obviously, because although obviously I still want some more of my favourite ones because, well, they're my favourite ones. And although I'm pretty sure I've got enough of those for any purposes that I actually will successfully start, I really like them. I want to own them all, mainly because they're quite uncommon. But there are 2 kinds. There are ones that are very similar to these, but the bottoms are square, so they don't, excuse me, got hiccups, don't roll. And then there are ones, and I'm going to go with Binche, B-I-N-C-H-E, Binche. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced, but Binche it is, for the want of a better word. It's a bit like yacht for yacht. It may not be the right thing, but that's how it's written, so for one, having not heard anyone say it and being authoritative in what needs to be changed, Binche it is. So the Binche bobbins are French, and they are thinner, but then have a bulbous chunk at the bottom. Which says, you can't see it. There's a bulbous chunk at the bottom, whereas the other ones have got like a bit more like these, but have a square bottom, so they don't roll. So I kind of want both of those, and I want at least a couple of 100 of each of those. And no bugger's got a couple of 100 of either. It's just kind of like, oh, that's not true. There are a real load of the Binchy type ones on Amazon, but they're A, probably plastic, B, they're just, and they're, some of them, £30 for 10. No. Because they're not that expensive. It's just someone on Amazon basically pushing their luck. Because they're all resellers of a bit like the Temu stuff. It's all, we have no idea what any of this shit is, but we found it and we think you'll buy it, so we've put it on Amazon. And oh look, someone's bought some. Now everyone and their dog's buying some, so because we can buy them for a 5p or something, and we can churn them out at 30 quid because some idiot bought some, you know. The problem with that bobbins is you do need a fair few of them, and so I kind of want 250 minimum, because that way you've got plenty. So I kind of want to do that, but I can't really afford it. I really need to be a little bit more frugal. I've bought enough stuff for now. I am I'm a bit drained, for want of a better word. Now, fortunately for me, when it comes to Christmas, I don't really have any Christmas presents to buy. There's a couple of people I can buy presents for, but we commonly don't do Christmas presents. Christ, we don't even really do cards, so no one minds if we don't, you know. So if I don't buy any Christmas presents this year, it doesn't really bother anyone. So from that point of view, cheap Christmas. But everything costs more around Christmas because, of course, it's Christmas. You can fleece them for all the presents they want to buy. And you know what I really, really want? I want a wood lathe so I can make my own. Yeah, it's not cheap either. Wood lathe and some wood. Get some wood to make my own freaking bobbins. That would be awesome. Frankly, it would be great. I would love that. Make my own bobbins. I saw you leap then. How dare you? Rude. That would be really quite cool. Make my own bobbins. I know how. I can turn wood, by the way. No, it's not a pipe dream shit. No, I have actually done that in the past. It's been a while, but I know all the theory. I haven't got any of the tools, of course, so that would cost like 3 arms and a leg. It's like a huge part of me wants to get a big pile of woodworking stuff, because so many of my hobbies, you know, I could make my own stuff for a lot cheaper. But of course, to buy all the woodworking tools to make it is not. Another option, 3D printer. I mean, really, really seriously thought about this one. 3D printer. Because then you could 3D print them in pretty colours and you know, not the pretty colours of the thing, because I actually really like wood. I like wood. I mean, you can't see it, but my couch is wood, my table's wood. I'm a wood girl, and I don't paint wood. That's sacrilege. My father, in his little cardboard box in the other room, or whatever box it is, would be shouting at me about how dare you paint it. You do not paint wood. If you want to paint it, use fucking MDF. Do not paint actual wood. It's criminal. You know. So with that in mind, knowing that I too have strong opinions about painting wood, one of my friends loves to paint wood, and it makes me cry. She gets this beautiful, you know, like mahogany thing, and you're looking at it, it's a thing of beauty, and she slaps like distressed paint all over it, and it's like, you've just wrecked that. Because it's not like she paints it over varnish so that at least you could kind of maybe hack it back and, you know, paint thinner it off and, you know, the wood will still be good. No. She sands it all down like a good girl and then directly paints it. So it all seeps into the wood. So now you've got to sand the living crap out of it to get it out of there, because it will never come out otherwise. And I just know. It's like all these videos that they YouTube and the shorts. Look, we've upcycled. No, you didn't upcycle. You destroyed that. It was a glorious thing, and now you've destroyed it. No, don't be pretending you've done a good thing to it. You might like it, but there's thousands of us who do not. And I am not the only one in the you do not paint wood camp, right? So, yeah, we don't paint them. It's like, oh, you can get painted bobbins. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the painting is really quite pretty. Now, on a bobbin, I'm probably less worried. But if you're going to make me pay a fortune for it, no. I'm not paying, I'm not having a really nice wooden bobbin that you paint. You can get some really nasty, cheap bobbin and paint it for me. I'll let you, that can be a thing because it was cheap and it was nasty. So, it's kind of like if it was plastic. If it was plastic, you can paint that all you like because it can only go up from there, right? No, rant, anger. No, we don't paint wood. No. Devil himself wouldn't even paint wood. So, yeah, we don't do that. What is wrong with you two? I swear I shouldn't feed you. You've got the beans. Haven't you? You have the beans. Right. We will stick these. Because, for example, these little worms that I'm using to trap down the threads, guy had to make this for me. Now, I don't begrudge him the money, really don't, because obviously I don't have the tools to do it. But it's basically the world's easiest bit of turned wood with a flat on the bottom. So you made it and then go, or kind of almost, or use a bandsaw, and then flatten it off with a bit of sandpaper, and it's kind of like, that was £5. Now, £5 is not a lot of money, don't get me wrong, and I don't begrudge him a penny. But at the same time, if I'd had the tools, it's kind of like, 20 minutes of my life. And I could have had, exactly what and where and how I was, I wanted. Don't get me wrong, that is perfectly good as what I wanted. And in fact, didn't need the little baubles on the end, just needed a piece of wood. It almost could have been square for all that mattered. It was nicer that it's round, but, or got rounded bits on it. But, not essential. Square would have done. But funny enough, the lady in the video that I was trying to watch did actually use one. She called it a bridge. Bit of an odd name for it, because that's not what she was using it for, but she called it a bridge. They've got apparently a whole host of names, and like everything crafty, half of them are daft, so worm it is. Snug you up a bit more. There you go. Take you away for a minute. Yes. So yes, the 3D printer would be quite nice, but then at the same time they'd all be plastic and light. I don't want them to be light. And so then I'd be trying to work out how I can secrete little metal posts down the middle to give them a bit more weight, Because that is the obvious thing to do. Is make them out of plastic, but embed kind of almost like a bolt down the middle. To give it a bit of strength. And a bit of weight behind it. So basically they'd become little metal bolts with plastic covers. I don't see a problem with that myself. I know it's obviously, kind of, I'm sure many lace makers around the world would shout I'm a heathen, but at the same time, if it's practical, Can we stop, blaming the fact that it actually works? Because they'd still be quite cheap, because you can buy a cheap old pack of bolts. Christ, it almost doesn't matter whether they're rusty, but, embed them in a kind of pretty plastic thing, put a few swirls in it and maybe a bit of decoration or something. Because, if you think about it, these bobbins aren't dissimilar to the shape of a bolt. The only difference is they get fatter here. Well, you almost could get a bolt and plastic coat it, right? It's just get a normal standard, kind of M4 bolt or something, plastic coat the bottom and call it a lace bobbin. It's kind of, yeah, you could actually. Because, of course, will you stop licking your lips? If you're going to puke, go in the garden. If you're not going to puke, don't go in the garden because it's cold and you'll get miserable because you don't like weather. And Amy, I'm talking to your brother. You're not missing out. I'm not even touching him, little one. He's not even getting a hug. Oh, now you both want hugs. Oh, for goodness sake. But yeah, you could plastic coat some M4 bolts or something, and have lace bobbins. And by the way, if you don't know what plastic coat is, it's the rubberized stuff that you put on tool handles. So. But you literally just dip it in there and kind of it gets a bit of a coating. You do it a couple of times and the job's good. And it's not particularly expensive and goes a long way. So, if you got a crap load of bolts and then just plastic coated them, the threading would help with the thread staying in place rather than sliding up. It's kind of a win-win, really. I mean, bolts it is, In fact, the more I think about it, even better. Oh, ads in 3 minutes. You could almost just kind of stick the nut, weld the nut or glue the nut on the other end and call it a bobbin. They'd probably be a little heavy, but for pillow work, weight is not really a big issue. And because of that, you can have heavy or not heavy, and it doesn't really matter. I like heavy because it feels reasonable in my hand. So a bunch of M4 bolts would be ideal. Maybe I'm onto a plan. Maybe that is a thing. What do you reckon, dog? Trying some M4 bolts. What do you think? What do you think, Amy? Don't have an opinion on that one. I apologise for the moment of hugging that we appear to need, but we're being calm about the hugging, so we will get plenty of hugging while we are calm and the dogs are good. They can have huggies. When they're annoying, they get told to stop because they're not being. No, you're being calm for you. Yes. This is you being your calmest and stillest, isn't it? This is you trying very, very hard. You're failing, but, you're trying really, really hard, and I acknowledge that. Yes, you headbutt the mic. Yes. That works really well. My little puppies. I've got to go to work next Thursday. Actually got to go into work. You're going to have to be good next week. You're going to have to be on your own for a number of hours. I know it's criminal. Yes, I know. Ooh, I'm no longer popular because I'm going out next week. Okay, all right, fair enough. Whatever. You've destroyed the couch cover again. How do you do that? Dogs. So yes, I've got to go to work next Thursday. So I may be tired next Thursday. Maybe even really grouchy next Thursday. Because I'm having to meet people. I'm meeting people I don't know, which is uncomfortable for me. It's not like I'm going in to meet people I already know. These people I don't really know. Meeting some new people. I'm not against meeting new people. Clearly not. But at the same time, not in these circumstances, I think. That's the right word. There are better words. Happy to kind of meet new people, have people come here and talk to new people. And I can find that interesting because A, you're not invading my space. B, you're not well, you probably are secretly casting a few judgments on me, but, you know, I can't tell, so that's fine. Unless you say something, I won't know. And so I can pretend that you're not. And all of that. Whereas when you're there and they can like look at me and kind of go, oh, doesn't. I feel judged, and I mean, the only good thing is at least one of the other people who's going to be there, that, well, I don't know them very well, one of the people I'm meeting, doesn't entirely do people either. So from that point of view, it's going to be a really entertaining kind of like, we're all going to stand on opposite sides of the room and look at each other and kind of go, they're over there. And they'll be going, that's them over there. And we'll all be like, you know, it'll be a bit like the, is that really him? And it would kind of be kind of almost like the party stuff, and yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't disagree. We should meet. I just don't want to do it now. Mind you, will I ever want to do it now? I guess the answer to that is probably not. Just make sure that this is coming out of the right place, because that looks around that here, it shouldn't be. I need a stick of poking. Item of poking, please. Please stand up. Oh, let's use one of these as my item of poking then. Come on, out. Item of poking. Better? No, this new seems to need to come off there as well. And that doesn't seem right. Because you're over 3 pins. You are also not supposed to be over this pin. This pin seems very greedy and has stolen other people's stuff. Because you are part of the rose ground from there. You should only have those threads in it. There, like that. That's more like it. You can sit over there for now. Out of the stick. Let me just check. Yeah, that's right. Just checking I hadn't screwed it up and I'll hate myself later or something. Because, you know, that can always be a distinct possibility. But no, I am right. You had no right to be in that. So either I faux pas and things don't add up, which actually, in retrospect, is possibly the answer. So, and you were not a half stitch that I should have done. So can we not be doing that? You were a full stitch at half. See, you're not right either now, because you are out the way. So let's undo you, over you. So under, cross, right, and put you in there. That is definitely right. You are there. So let me quickly look at you. Oh no, you did add some. You just managed to gain a friend. Okay. So that's all right. You can go back to lurking for a second. I'll push you down again. And twisty. And you just came off because I felt you. Go in the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mambo number 5. So, that's sorted that out, missed. That's you in there. Right. Now, stick you all back together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put you together. Although really it should be all 6 because you're going to stay together, so let's not pretend that that's not a thing. So you might as well all stay together. You go in the phenomenal pile over there. You come out because we won't need you for a while. But I don't really need a stick for 3 pairs of bobbins. But at the same time, stick it is. Stickety stick, stick, stick. You can just be a very thin stick. There you go. And then we can take you off because we're going to start with the very, very early bobbinies. So let's put my worm in there. Take you out because we will need you, but not immediately. Because we have you to deal with. Right. See, it's nearly 10 o'clock and I'm still in the mood. But if I do too much of this, I could always upload the video tomorrow. But I'm so want to do it the same night. The problem is I haven't got yet. I could write one, and this is probably where this is going to lead to. I will need to write something that can automate the upload of my YouTube video, which is currently set up so it is not that unrealistic. She says realising something's wrong with the machine. It doesn't need to be, so let's quit that. So there's a product called Selenium, which allows you to control browsers, and I've got the Chrome one, and I currently use Chrome to do my YouTube thing. So my Edge one, because I use both, because some things fight, you know how it is. So I use Edge to be me watching YouTube, and I use Chrome to be my channel uploading videos. That way I don't have to constantly keep flipping between them. This is a good thing. So I have Selenium, which already I have a program which already runs. I can run, and it will go through a particular website that I frequent, and it will download all the things that are free to download. So I can basically klepto them, for want of a better word. And so I can klepto all the free things because, well, they're free. And so uploading the YouTube video and then posting to Facebook, and the only problem is that when I post to Facebook on my phone, it has the option to send it to Instagram and Threads. And from memory, the one on my PC does not. Bring up Facebook. What's on your mind? Click. Yeah, the one on Facebook for your desktop doesn't seem to. Now, I don't know if that's just not it telling me it's going to do it, or whether it actually doesn't do it. Because it's, well, not helpful in that. Because obviously I know that in the create a post. See if that, no, you see that doesn't list it. So from that point of view, it doesn't. I then have to have the same one go off and post the same damn thing on all that, because obviously I'm not going to be able to control my phone from because it'll be upstairs with me asleep. So I can't really leave that to chance and expect to sort that out with my PC. So I can't post that and then have it do all the other postings. I can, of course, go into each website, find the new post button and hit post and post the exact same shit so it looks like it's the same one. posted, because it doesn't say like reposted from Facebook or anything on it, so it's not like it stands out in any shape or form. As long as each one logs in as me in the right thing, it would be a good thing. And so that is distinctly a plausible option, and maybe something I really do need to think about, so that I don't have to stay up till wee hours of the morning trying to make it happen, because clearly, well, it's not going to happen. And using Selenium, you can pull data out, so I would be able to pick up the URL of the upload and do all of those kind of things, and that's going to be my co-worker. So he's just said, you do realise the argument's going to start day one? And I went, well, yeah, if not earlier. I'm surprised they haven't already. Well, technically they have. He just hasn't really. It's not really in an argument stage. It has been commented upon, and we've kind of gone, that's nice, because we know that that's not how it works. Yeah. Oh well. With any luck, they'll want to go home and leave early, so I can come home and have a nap. That'd be nice. They've just thought of other things. Like, yeah, I told you that. I already said that was going to happen. This is why I'm not stressed. I've already thought of all the mayhem that's going to happen. All my eyes playing up again. Remember I said to you occasionally Twitch is really funny, and now it's gone all funny again. It's not twitching, but it's kind of closing. You done? You're not. You're still thinking about it. I can feel you thinking about it, but you've kind of shut up from it. That's a good thing. Nope. Let's put the pin in before you move on. Do you think that's part of the mistake I've made occasionally in the past? As it's something I seem prone to recognising that I'm doing, is that occasionally it's the half stitch, move on, half stitch, and I'm moving on before I've done the other half. A bit like when doing the rose ground, you do a half stitch, pin, half stitch, and then half stitch again without a pin, and so it's almost the move on. And you haven't done the first half, so it doesn't work. So it'd be like me now moving on. Because of course this is half stitch, pinned, half stitch, pin, half stitch. And so what it is very much is I go to this stage and do the half stitch and then move on, forgetting to do the pin and the half stitch. So I do think that could be a cause of some of the issues we see round about this point. Usually, in fact, around in this area or around the ground, is because I've just been doing a whole load of rose ground that I've, then come along and forget and kind of move on when I haven't done the pin. So, you are too short, my friends. You need to grow. There you go. Thank you. Get your furry face out of it. Rory, I love you dearly. Your sister's going to have major FOMO in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, she hasn't moved. Blimey. Oh, she even got off the couch. That makes a change. Oh, such a good boy. Yes, you are. Oh, what are you? Oh. Now she's got FOMO. Oh, no. Oh, again. Children. Really? Mm-hmm. You've had more food today than I have. Each. Yes. You had your main dinner. I had a ham sandwich. Yeah, that's it. It's not quite the same, and it's not anywhere near as requirement for me in a day. Can you? Thank you, Rory. You stay there. You be a good boy. Now my mic's in the way and I can't see what I'm doing. I saw you come off. I watched you. There's a Pokemon that does that, isn't there? Well, it says sigh. I'm not a Pokemon aficionado. I'm aware of some of them. I can name a few and recognise a few, but not that many. Probably about 8. We're not talking many here. Probably more than that if I really tried. And you just come off because you're annoying. Still too long. That's better. I did like the original Ben 10 theme tune. Really liked that. Don't know kind of where they found the childish girl's voice from, but I really quite liked that. I miss listening to that. My ex-husband was very much into cartoons. Well, he still is. He's just not here, and so you would hear quite a lot of them. I do like. I mean, I do know quite a few of the theme tunes to a lot of the cartoons for that. What did you hear that made you suddenly leap? Sorry, dog all suddenly let up and jogged everything again. So I do know quite a few of the theme tunes, but I... Why is it I wind up a load of it. Quite a lot of these bobbins, I wind up a load, and it doesn't seem to have got any shorter. It's just poo. So, the stresses. Make you a bit longer too. That's never a bad thing. And you, although not a lot longer for you, but a bit. Really? See what this one did? Look how much longer this one is now. There is all of this extra because it dove off the edge and then kind of unwound itself for no apparent reason, other than it did. So, let's try that again. Don't mind you leaning off the edge, but there's none of this diving and making yourself 6 times longer. There's just no call and need for that. You can get around there. Now is usually the time we convert to doing this way because it's shorter. Oh, I'm beginning to get a bit of backache, but it is also 10 o'clock and we've been doing this 3 hours, so this is doing well for us. My back has been much better today, I think, because obviously I got a good rest yesterday and had a bit of a rest after work today, so I haven't done much cross stitch today, so I haven't been haunched over that either, so definitely have a horrible feeling I need to write an app to upload my thing so that I enter in all of the, like the title and the description, and then it goes off and does a post, and then I know some text for the posts on social media, because in case you don't know, I am torn between the fact that I kind of don't expect anyone to watch this. Because really, to a large extent, I don't. But at the same time, I kind of would like people to watch it. I'd like people to find it and want to follow along, even if they don't come and watch every day. To have a quick look at the video and see where I've got to this, every so often. Again, I'm not expecting them to watch every hour of every minute of every video because, well, they're a bit the samey, really. So from that point of view, I'm really conflicted because, I have no aspirations of expecting to be the next Asmongold who earns millions by ranting and saying crappy things and I don't expect that, although I obviously talk a lot of crap. But I have no expectation to, get thousands of viewers. And to be honest, I almost don't want to. Not at least at one point. If thousands of people eventually watch the videos, fine. But if 1,000 people turned up here, kind of right here, right now, I'd probably die of shock. But ignoring the dying of shock, let's say I've survived the shock. It would be too busy. I'd feel too compelled to talk and discuss things with them than actually do any work. I do plenty of that now. So I don't necessarily want to be, the next mega star of Twitch or anything, because I really don't. But at the same time, I'd like to think people are interested. I'd like to think that at some point someone will drop in and have a bit of a watch. I'd like to think that someone will come along and go, have you got any advice as to where I could start doing this? And, what bits I need or what bits I can save on because I'm not feeling overly rich, Because like everything, you can spend a fortune and still have all the wrong pieces, right? There is that bit of me. There is the bit that would like to hope that I encourage others to have a go. And even if I never hear or see of them, there is a bit of me that would like to think that that is the case. So I'm doing my best so that, not to attract attention to me, because I so don't want that, but to try and make sure that people are aware that there is this to watch. Now, obviously, what I do when I post on social media is I go, look what we did today. And, here is where we got to today. Because as you know, I generally take a picture at the end of the stream as my thumbnail for uploading on social media. Look, here is where we got. It is also usually the thumbnail that goes on the video. It's the same picture. So they can match them up. And it's just that kind of, this is where we got to. See how I got there, right? Look at the fun we had today. We made lots of mistakes. We fixed a load of mistakes. Have a watch. And I'm not going to pretend that, tons of people are watching. But obviously, the more I talk about it, the more the algorithm does pick up on it. I'm confident that that is an element of the algorithms, is that the more you do, the more they are more likely to pick you as something to show to other people. So if I did a 5-minute thing once a month showing, this month, I know, we made a square, here it is. Next month, here is another square, look, now I have 2, right? If that's kind of how it went, I don't think, anyone would ever find it. But by posting every day and by having a few hours of video... Ow! And you knocked that over. You need to behave, young lady. Just as well, that was not holding something vitally important. Fortunately, it was only my cross-stitch holdery thing, and the cross-stitch was not in it. At least it wasn't the lace pillow. Hey. You've destroyed the couch some more, young lady. You knocked over the thing. Yes. You. Yes. What? Let me have a look at your ear. Problem is he suckles her ears, and in the winter she tends to get kind of sore bits because she goes outside with wet ears. Amy, sit down. You and your little crackhead brain cells need to chill. Yes. Chill. I do love you. I'm not hugely mad at you. I just want you to be calmer. Yes. Rory's hiding in case he thinks I've done something. I'm going to be mad at him. I am not mad at you. You did not run into it. You ran round it. Although, how did you miss it? It's bigger than you. Well, clearly you didn't miss it, but how did you not see it? Hello, Rory. Can we off now, please? Let me finish this bit. Otherwise, we are going to be here till flipping midnight. So yes, I part of me would like to be, I won't say more successful, but reaching a bigger audience with some of the YouTube videos, for example. Not because I want to be big on YouTube, but just because the YouTube videos don't go away. The Twitch ones go away after a while. The YouTube ones do not, which is why I put it on YouTube, so that it doesn't go away. I mean, I can hide them, and I can delete them, but they won't just generically disappear. Usually, I mean, random YouTube bad things have happened. And you, Tench, maybe see you tomorrow. I've just done it again, haven't I? Oh no, that is the right thing to do, you stupid cow. That's right. I was doing half stitch and my brain's going, no, it's got to be a cloth stitch. No, it's not a cloth stitch. It is a half stitch. We're doing ground, you stupid woman. yeah, I'd like them to reach people and for people to be interested, and all those kind of things. So, from that point of view, it is important to me to post on social media to say, hey, look what we did today, and so that people can join along even if they can't make it to Twitch to watch. And I'm going to say that I think some people do. So, I mean, about once a week, a video will get like 40 or 50 people having watched it. Most of them don't. She says cracking a thing open. Hang on. What's he said now? Right, my co-workers go, oh, who's going to do this? Who's going to know? I don't care. I know the back door. So let me. I was going into here, wasn't I? Right. So, for example, if I look at my content, holy shit. So if I go back, I don't know, what is it? What's a week ago? That'll be the 14th. Right. So on the 14th, the video I put up got 15 views. I then did a really short excerpt of that called How Do You Know What to Do Next, which was a small chunk of that. That's had 330 views. Where the hell did they come from? Which was the holy crap. Then the 15th had 7, the 16th had 9, the 17th had 39. Where did the other 30 come from? The 18th has had 2, and yesterday's 1. So, 330. Wow. So from that point of view, I do kind of hope to bring a few people in, and maybe I need to make some shorter videos with stranger titles, because clearly what that one did. Right, you're done. Amy, stop whining. There is nothing to whine about. There is nothing outside to care about. There just isn't. You missed the tree dude for next door. He went home hours ago. Many hours ago. Like 6. Yeah. And this is what's wrong with some of these bobbins. Look, this is just turning because it doesn't stay on the bottom because it's slid up. Alarm. Amy, shush. It's all right. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay? It's okay. Everything's fine. I know. I do. I can tell. Sure, do you want to bash me a couple more times there? I mean, you missed a spot. Completely wrecked my couch. can stick you together. Stick. Chuck you up there. Right. Give us more room. We like room. Itchy face now. I need some drink. That's what I need. Oh, Amy. Can you stop making that noise? It's really annoying. It is. You're annoying. You're annoyings. You is annoyings. Whatever it is not important. The house is not on fire. I know that. You have water. You've had food. More than I've had. So, you are not dying, the back door is open, the garden is not on fire, there are no people in the house that shouldn't be here. It is all fine. Crossed, you just didn't look at it. See, I'd like to have a go at that Bedfordshire lace pattern with a butterfly. Maybe skipping the flowery bits, but the butterfly looked alright. But it's not going to be a quick thing, and that's clearly a concern, because we all know that, well, this project is big and it's going to take a while, and I don't necessarily want to detract from this one too much, because, well, so I'm already going to likely be a year older before we actually get around to seeing it completed, and we haven't even really worked out how we're going to join it together yet. Well, I have a good idea how we're going to join it together yet, but we haven't actually worked out how we're going to join it together. We haven't confirmed this is the final process, so yeah, it is a concern. So I'd like to do other things, but it's almost like I've got to do them as well as this, which is fine. I've got more lace pillows. It's not that I can't do multiple lace things at a time, because I can. I've got a whole pile of lace pillows. Seriously, I've got a whole pile of lace pillows. I've got in the corner of my room. Let me see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one behind me, 10. There might be another one actually. I think I've got another 10. So from that point of view, I can do another pattern. That is well within the remit of life. Doing them are bolster pillows, and so it would not be great for streaming on. Or if I do, I've got to work out a better way of doing that, which right now I haven't done. So from that point of view, not a plan. But I've got more flat ones, plenty more flat ones. Don't like some of them, but you know, it's an experiment. You don't have to love it. Not marrying it, you're only using it. Right, and there we have completed another section. Go us! Yay! We did stuffs. And we can now take out more pins. And we know that Liz likes taking out pins. So we're going to push down some pins and take out more pins because, well, frankly, that's a thing. And we enjoy that because we get to look and appreciate the work that we've done. And then curse when we realise we screwed it up. So let's bring the pins up. And we can pull out these in great handfuls because, well, they're easy to get hold of. I was watching a fellow smaller streamer. I mean, he's not small, but he is small, smaller than, you know, a lot. He has usually kind of 10 or so people watching. Now, he doesn't do crafting, but he was playing something and he was having a bit of a rant. And one of the game makers reached out to him and wanted to discuss his rantings. And it dawned on me, why are his rantings more important than anyone else's? Why get his opinion and not Random Joe? Why not invite one of your watchers to come and have a discussion? Why find a fellow streamer and say, hey, you posted a rant, I want to discuss this rant with you, to see, you know, get your point of view. Well, you've just heard his point of view, you ranted. So from that point of view, kind of dawned on me a little while later, why? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I guess it's the same I always had when things were on TV. So come exam day, some kid would be, hey, I'm getting my exams results today. And it's like, well, what made that kid the right kid? Why is he the one on TV? Why is it not someone else? Not necessarily why is it me, because I don't like that. But what makes him the one that gets picked for TV? How did they pick him? And I guess I've always had this wonder, because you get lots of things. It's like we asked sound. We've had a thing at work sometimes where people are asked to do do a presentation on introducing themselves, right? And much as I'd rather die than do that, no one in our team's ever been asked. No one. And it becomes that kind of, I'm sorry, but what makes us less important? Why are we not important enough to be in on this? Why is it always everybody else? They've almost like run out and they still haven't asked anyone in our team. Let me take a photo before I forget, because, well, it's looking rather suave. Camera. Try and get a good picture of that. There we go. Picture of that. And we cover it with the heavy cloths. Now I still have not sewed the other heavy cloths that I bought, because I'm lazy and stupid and a whole pile of other, depreciating words of people. So thank you for attending today. We have done a fair bit. I have moaned a lot less than usual in terms of pain and anguish. I've made some mistakes. I have fixed some mistakes. But we are good. We shall be back tomorrow, because tomorrow is definitely my streaming day of definiteness. And so whether I'm willing or not, we are streaming tomorrow. You can see how I pack up my lace pillow while I talk to you and say goodbye. Put my pile of sticks on, and that, even though I don't use them very often. But anyway, I shall see you tomorrow, for those who can join me. If not, as kind of mentioned during the stream, you can always catch up for a few days on Twitch. Failing that, every single one of them's up on YouTube. I doubt this will finish uploading for about 1:30 today, so I probably won't post this on social media immediately. Well, obviously I won't, because maybe I'll be asleep by 1:30. But if nothing else, it'll be up tomorrow morning. However, I look forward to seeing you when you can next join me. Have a good evening and take care until I see you next. Goodbye.